Early morning, Livingston had Echo Company fix bayonets. For their assault onto Dido, they would be crossing the rice paddies on the left. Vargas and the remaining 46 members of Golf Company had stayed overnight in the cemetery. They would make a two-prong attack on the hamlet. There are a few major changes to the battlefield. The hamlets of Dido and Dinto have grown. These days the dwellings are continuous. Back in 1968, there was open space between the hamlets. Also today the creek is dammed, thus the banks along the creek were much higher in the war years. Echo had a tough fight across the rice paddies. Marines were falling from being hit by sniper fire from the many hedgerows. The well-entrenched enemy were not retreating. Echo 2 squad leader, Nicholas Cardona, was one of the first to fight his way into Dido that morning. By the end of the day, he would be the only one left standing from his squad. Right beside him, leading from the front, was Captain Livingston. Marshal Serna was awarded the Silver Star for his courageous charge into Dido. Captain Livingston was wounded in his right leg, but remained on the battlefield. The frontal advance had cost Echo Company 70 casualties. At 9:14, Dido was finally secured by Echo and Golf Companies. Division wanted the momentum to be maintained against the NVA. Weiss and his battalion command had moved into Dido. Hotel Company commanded by Scotty Prescott would attack Dinto. It was an extremely hot day. The attack commenced. Hotel Company's Vic Taylor's platoon sergeant, Joe Jones, become pinned down along the creek. Every M16 in the squad had become jammed. The jamming of the M16 was a disaster across the battlefield that cost lives. Tyrone Austin and others were killed near Scotty Prescott. Prescott had taken cover in rectouches near the creek. At 1000 hours, Prescott radioed that without reinforcements, he would be overrun. Back over the radio came the life-saving words, "Livingston and Echo are coming." Within minutes, Livingston and his last 30 Marines were seen charging through the smoke and hellish fire. Another entry into Marine legend was written at this minute. James Livingston was awarded the Medal of Honor for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life. Seriously wounded, he would later be carried off the battlefield. Also awarded the Silver Star for their gallantry at this time was Vic Taylor, Scotty Prescott, David Jones, and Private First Class Scafidi, who ran through the battlefield, delivering machine gun fire into the enemy positions. The U.S. National Archives recorded a 50th anniversary reunion, remembering Vietnam of the Battle of Dido. Jim Livingston's thoughts are reproduced here courtesy of the National Archives. A link is provided below if you wish to see the whole video.
Very shortly thereafter, and his hotel came by us and continued the attack. We got word that they were having serious difficulty fixing to be surrounded, and I looked at the remaining Marines, about 35, and Echo Company, and I said, we got to do it. We got to go help our fellow Marines. And I'll tell you the unique reaction to those young Marines during this whole episode was just so easy, the strength of character of the young Marines and their willingness to fight. And they said, "Skipper, we're ready to go." And we joined up with the Hotel Company and we continued the attack, and I'll tell you, it was nasty. And I won't tell you how nasty it was, but it was really nasty. And well, we went through a series of hedgerows, and the attack commenced against Hotel and Echo. And I didn't find out till years later why it was so intense. We were about 200 yards from driving them out of the village of Dinto. So we were fixing to drive into open positions where fixed wing and artillery and naval guns could totally destroy them. So I would summarize the magnificence of that battle, other than the great leadership of General Weiss and Major Warren and all the Marines involved. The unique thing that defined that battle was the 18 and 19-year-old Marines and sailors and how well they performed, because their whole idea about performance was taking care of one another. And that day, they took care of the enemy and they took care of one another. Thanks, sir.
Due to the overwhelming onslaught, Echo and hotel companies returned to Dido. 3rd Marines Commander, Milton Hall, ordered the remnants of BLT-24, mainly Golf and Foxtrot companies, to once again attack Dinto. He had devised a plan, whereby a South Vietnamese armored unit would attack simultaneously across the creek. The attack commenced late afternoon. Vargas and his Golf company made progress, but Foxtrot company became pinned down in the dry rice paddies on the right. Bartlow and Digger Light were firing from these fields when Bartlow was killed. During the fighting, Digger Light also learned that Devine and his friend Favorite had also died. Weiss and some of the command Marines had come forward to assist, including Big John Malner. The South Vietnamese on the left had failed in their attack. Even worse, they had been replaced by NVA. Vargas and Golf were in danger of being overrun. It was a desperate fight. The enemy retaliated with a massive counterattack, resulting in hand-to-hand combat. It was a desperate fight to the end. Vargas, Weiss, Big John Malner, Snodgrass and many other Marines ended up in a trench. Big John Malner, firing a shotgun, was killed by a RPG. Weiss was wounded and could not walk, but he continued to fire with Sergeant Bollinger close by. Vargas, who had been wounded and in excruciating pain, with his pistol in one hand, started to drag Weiss in a fighting withdrawal. After carrying his commander to a covered position, Vargas then went back to the battle, where he resumed assisting and encouraging his men. Sergeant Bollinger, who was now on his knees, had been further wounded, was still firing his machine gun. Vargas would continue to save the wounded. For his action here, and previously in the battle, he was awarded the Medal of Honor. Acts of gallantry were common across the battlefield. The forward air controller, Judson Hilton, was awarded the Silver Star. He organized men and delivered accurate fire on North Vietnamese positions, while simultaneously directing and controlling airstrikes. Sergeant Abshire, who was found dead on the creek bank, fought to the end, covering his men's withdrawal. For his heroic stand, he was awarded the Navy Cross. The next morning, the NVA had left the area. When re-entering Dinto, 20 dead Marines were found in the last stand trench. They found a haystack on the right flank of the trench, which was actually a camouflaged gun position. Thousands of spent cartridges were found inside. 86 Marines had died in the battle, around 50 being killed on the last day. David Bingham was the last man found on the battlefield. He had been captured and later executed.